I thought Bill Clinton was a very good.
It hasn't even been 12 hours yet. It's barely been 12 hours in the office, and he's already said mass immigration raids, Gaza beachfront property, tariffs to Mexico and Canada instantly February 1st. This is truly heinous stuff.
Everybody, appreciate it. Thank you. So now the work begins. We won, but now the work begins. We have to bring
Witkoff visiting Gaza to ensure the ceasefire deal is implemented.
And, you know,
yeah, I saw that. But they're also opening up 2,000-pound munitions. They're going to continue giving extra munitions to Israel. Here, look at this.
As soon as I leave, I'm going to the Oval Office, and we'll be signing pardons for a lot of people. A lot of people. And thank you to Steve Witkoff. He's a great guy. He's a friend of mine. He's been a very successful man. He's a great negotiator. He's a wonderful guy. People love him. And he's got a tremendous power of persuasion. And that's what we need. We don't need stiffs. We don't need stiffs. We got a lot of stiffs. You just had a whole load of them. And to the former hostages with us today, welcome. Welcome home. Some of the folks are former hostages. Not a good situation. The three young ladies that came home yesterday, you saw that. More coming home every day now. They're coming home. But they were hurt. They were hurt. They were hurt. One had her head blown off. Fingers.
Oh, God, bro. Don't say that in front of them. Holy shit.
She was trying to defend herself from a bullet
Oh
being
my
fired.
God, bro, he is so crazy.
Knocked off her hand. I don't know. You look at it, it's a disgrace. We never stop.
Oh my God!
We're so glad that you're reunited.
Bro, in front of the parents, dude.
Bless you all. And some of them are just saying, no, my son is gone, but please just bring home his body. Right, Steve? Many of you have told me that your son is gone, but bring home his body. It should have never happened. 3 years, it's ridiculous. Should have never happened. Wouldn't have happened. I also want to express my tremendous gratitude to the hundreds of thousands of proud American patriots who came from all across the country to join us in this celebration. It's a celebration of a big win. And you're witnessing the dawn of the golden age of America. That's what it's going to be. We're bringing it back. We're going to bring it back fast. We're going to bring it back fast. Let us also thank the incredible service members, National Guardsmen, police, Secret Service, and law enforcement personnel who are keeping us all safe, even though, and they are great people. New York's finest. I grew up with New York's finest.
Damn, bro, he is tired. Vibe shift. I feel like he does Trump no longer have the same motion and juice that he once did? He's eepy, bro. He's eepy. He's an eepy guy.
Indoors, we've had a magnificent inaugural parade, and let's give a big round of applause. They were great. To all of the incredible performers and hardworking men and women who made it possible. Those people.
It does make sense.
Really talented, amazing people. I also want to thank my wonderful family for being here, especially my beautiful wife, our First Lady, Melania. I love our First Lady. Also, JD. How good has JD been? And his beautiful wife, Usha. How good is JB? JD has been great. He's another good negotiator, Steve. He's a great negotiator, too. We need negotiators in this country. But so many of the people on the stage, we had not only family members, as an example, Lara Trump, the wife of Eric. She was the head of the Republican Party, along with my friend Michael. Stand up, the two of you. What a job. What a job they did. They worked so hard. They knew there'd be rigging, but they said, we're going to make it too big to rig, and we did. We made it too big to rig. We won every swing state by a lot. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won the whole ball of wax. And now we're going to go and drill, baby, drill, and do all the things that we've wanted to do and bring your costs down, your prices down, and make our country safe. So thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much. What a job you've done, Michael. I'm never moving you, you know. He was thinking about getting a nice job in the administration. I said, no, I'm leaving you right where you are. You've done a very good job. We're not moving you, Michael. I'm sorry. Anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Right here with us also in the arena, I'm about to sign some very important executive orders of our new administration. Hey, Don, will you stand up, please? Don is another one. How about Don? This guy.
Fetterman's brain damage going strong. Fetterman admits that Lake and Riley Act does not protect dreamers. Asked why he broke his promise never to vote to harm dreamers, he muttered about wearing a hoodie and gym shorts at the inauguration. I don't see why people are so concerned with how others dress, he replied. Yeah, brain damage has caused this man to become a conservative, and he will be flipping to the Republican Party. Mark my words.
He knew the youth vote. You know, we won the youth vote by 36 points. And he was saying, Dad, you got to go out and do this one and that one. And we did a lot of them. And he respects them all. He understood them very well. And he said, Dad, you got to go out, do Joe Rogan, do all these guys. And we did. We did. And Joe Rogan was great. They were all great, right, Aaron? They were all good. He understood the market. Another famous one. How about Kai? Stand up, Kai.
Kai Cenat? No!
Is that Byron Donalds back there? Stand up, Byron.
It's so funny to have the hostage family stand up behind you as you just like hype up all of your family members and other like sycophants and stuff, and they're just like standing there like, okay, cool,
Great,
I guess.
Thank you very much. And how about Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce? He's going to take in more money than any country has ever even thought about. He's going to take in some money. And we have many others. Look, I'm not going to go through it, but we're going to sign some orders right now, and that's really what I want to do. So we're going to sign executive orders. First, I'll revoke nearly 80 destructive and radical executive actions of the previous administration, one of the worst administrations in history. Maybe not one of them, the worst. Anybody that would allow millions of people to pour through our borders from jails, prisons, mental institutions, insane asylums, gang members to be taken off the streets of Venezuela and deposited in our country, and many, not just Venezuela. You know, crime in Venezuela is down 74% because they took their criminals and gave them to us through an open border policy of the previous administration. All over the world, they're emptying their prisons into our country. They're emptying their mental institutions into our country. It stops as of 1 o'clock this afternoon, okay? It stops. So I'm revoking nearly 80 destructive, radical executive actions of the previous administration. They'll all be null and void within about, what, 5 minutes? Is that them over there? 5 minutes? And next, to gain immediate control of the vast federal out-of-control bureaucracy, I will implement an immediate regulation freeze, which will stop Biden bureaucrats from continuing to regulate. Most of those bureaucrats are being fired. They're gone. Should be all of them, but some sneak through, but we have to live with a couple, I guess. I'll also issue a temporary hiring freeze to ensure that we're only hiring competent people who are faithful to the American public. And we will pause the hiring of any new IRS agents. We will also require that federal workers must return to the office in person. And we're going to take the 88,000 people that they hired to go after you with guns. By the way, they're allowed to use guns and harass you like they were so many other people. Remember this. Okay, remember? Do you remember a little statement about tips? Does anybody remember that little statement? I think we won Nevada because of that statement. But they went out and harassed you over the tips. In other words, we are restoring control of our government to the people. We're going to take those 88,000. Let's see if they'd like to work on the border, because that's what we want them really on there. So we're going to have no tax on tips, right? No tax on tips. And we may have, like the Speaker of the House, is he here? He's done such a good job. Is Mike here? He's around here someplace. I saw him just a little while ago. Hello, fellas. Look at you guys. Yeah, I know it. He's great. He's doing great. They're all doing good. The Republican Party has never been unified like it is right now. They want to save our country. And we're going to more than save it. We're going to make it greater than it's ever been before by a lot. Next, I'm going to sign a presidential memorandum directing every member of my cabinet to marshal every power at their disposal to defeat inflation and rapidly bring down the cost of daily life, because your costs have gone through the roof in the last 4 years. Perhaps you didn't notice. Does anyone notice their costs are like double, triple, quadruple? You can't buy bacon. Apples have doubled in price. You want an apple, anybody? Pay twice what you did 2 years ago. We'll put more money in your pocket, and we'll bring back the American dream and to reduce energy costs and liberate our economy. So we have more oil and gas than any country in the world, and we're going to use it. We're not going to do the wind thing. Big, ugly windmills, they ruin your neighborhood, they ruin you. If you have a house that's near a windmill, guess what? Your house is worth less than half. And did you see up in New England with the whales? You see what's happening? So they had 2 whales killed in about 14 years. Last year and the year before, total, they had 28. So if you're into whales, you don't want windmills either. And they're the most expensive form of energy that you can have by far. And they're all made in China, by the way, practically all of them.
Boo!
And they kill your birds and they ruin your beautiful landscapes. But other than that, I think they're quite good, right? Now, remember when we used to joke and kid when we were kidding, but we don't kid anymore? They want to watch the debates on television. They want to watch your favorite president on television. But the wind isn't blowing, so we can't watch television that night, Gladys. Remember? Gladys, I'm sorry, the wind is just not blowing. We're not watching Trump tonight. But I'm immediately withdrawing from the unfair, one-sided Paris Climate Accord ripoff. The United States will not sabotage our own industries while China pollutes with impunity. You know, China, I mean, look, they use a lot of dirty energy, but they produce a lot of energy. And when that stuff goes up in the air, you know, it doesn't stay there. It's not like you got a wall. We love walls, don't we? Not like you have a wall around and it doesn't. It floats into the United States of America after 3.5 to 5.5 days. It floats across the oceans, and it comes right over your neighborhood, and it falls into your neighborhood. So they all say, we have to fight for...
Alex Press brought up something really funny, but he has the families of the Israeli hostages on stage, and he's talking about pardoning the January 6 hostages. And there is something very ironic about that.
Under the Trump administration, and we didn't do anything to stop jobs and stop production, believe me. You're going to see a lot of companies come pouring back because tariffs. I always say tariffs is the most beautiful word to me in the dictionary. Then I was reprimanded by the fake news. They said, what about love, religion, and God? I said, I agree. Let's put God number one. Let's put religion number two. Love, I don't know. We got to put that number three, I guess, right? And then it's tariff. Because tariffs are going to make us rich as hell. It's going to bring our country's businesses back that left us. And I'll also sign an executive order to immediately end federal government censorship of the American people. In America, we believe in free speech, and we're bringing it back starting today to stop the weaponization. Oh, do I know about that? These creeps. Deranged Jack Smith. You ever hear of him? Deranged. He's a deranged prosecutor. He's sick. They suck him on me. He's now been reduced to.
Apparently, Alex also wrote about how he also referred to the Palestinians in Israeli prisons as hostages as well.
Did they pardon?
Trump.
Did you know that Biden, while I was making my speech, pardoned his whole family?
Boo!
The brother, the whole deal was pardoned. Can you imagine that? While I was making my speech. Did everybody hear my speech? Did you like my speech? Thank you. I mean, the only thing wrong with it is I had a lot of tough things to say, and I have some great people that work for me. Sir, this is such a great speech. It's so unifying. Don't talk about Biden with me.
Alex Press did a misinformation. He's using the word, oh, never mind. I'm correcting the record. I just meant he's using the word hostage to refer to political prisoners. He didn't say hostages about Palestinians. I was wrong. I was wrong because I was misguided by so-called quote-unquote journalist Alex Press.
Won't be unified like it is. It's so beautiful the way it is, and it is getting great reviews.
The new administration has officially kickstarted, and we're already doing misinfo.
The fake news goes crazy, right? So
Already.
I said, all right, I won't put it in my speech, but you know what? I'm speaking in front of a hell of a lot of people at a place called Capital One Arena, and I'll talk about it there. So we're going to be going over the beautiful Oval Office, one of the great offices in history. Even if it wasn't beautiful, it's the Oval Office, but it is beautiful. And we love the Oval Office. It all starts with the wars start and
droning
end there.
on and on.
Everything
oh my
starts
God.
and ends at the Oval Office. We love it. But we're going to go to the Oval Office. We're going to decide we're going to release our great hostages that didn't do, for the most part, they didn't do stuff wrong. You take a look at what went on, and look what happens in other parts of the country. In Portland, where they kill people, they destroy the city. Nothing happens to them. In Seattle, where they took over a big chunk of the city, nothing happened. Minneapolis, where they burned down the city, nothing happened. Essentially, nothing happened. All they want to do is go after the J6 hostages. A 76-year-old grandmother was arrested the other day because she was looking, I think because she was looking at the Capitol or something like that. No, we're not going to put up with that crap anymore. And to stop the weaponization of law enforcement, I've been investigated more than any human being in the world. I believe I have the all-time record. Every day a subpoena. Every single day would get subpoenas. I was more than any person. Alphonse Capone, remember I used to talk about it? Now, Alphonse Capone, Scarface, he was a pretty rough guy. He was investigated about 1/100th what Trump was investigated. My father's looking down at me, my mother, how the hell did this happen? You know what it is? They investigated their political opponent, the opponent of Biden, and then ultimately Kamala. Has anyone ever heard of Kamala? We had to beat two opponents. You know, we had to beat Biden, then we beat him. Now he goes on top. The guy was like 39 points down. I think I could have beaten Trump. They should have left me in. I would have beaten. No, his debate performance wasn't the best, right? That's what killed him. And then they had to change, and that's like you get into a fight. The great Dana White spoke last night. We love Dana White, right? UFC. That's like he puts in two fighters. One of them's getting creamed, getting really beaten, and they say, all right, take him out. Let's put somebody else in to finish up the fight. That's what they did to us. They gave us somebody new, but we took care of both of them. So we beat actually two opponents. But to stop the weaponization of law enforcement and our government, I will also sign an order directing every federal agency to preserve all records pertaining to political persecutions under the last administration, of which there were many, and beginning the process of exposing any and all abuses of power, even though he's pardoned many of these people. Can you believe it? He's pardoned them. You know why he did it while I was speaking? Because that way I couldn't speak about it. I was speaking. I didn't know he did it. I finished my speech, and they said, sir, he pardoned his whole family. I said, oh, can I go back out there and talk about it? Somehow that wouldn't be very elegant. Our First Lady would say, please don't do that. But we have plenty of time to talk about it, and we will. We're doing all of this on our very first day in office. You know, don't forget, we've been in this position, really, where we won the primaries in record time. We were the fastest win of a primary ever in political history, which is a very nice thing. It's nice to know. Well, the second election was, so we knew we were doing well. And if it wasn't, you know what? If it wasn't, I would have never run. But the third one was just a monster. Boy, was that a big one, huh? That was a big one. On the second one, we got like 10 or 12 million votes more than the first one. How about that? We did great on the first one. We did much better on the second one. But bad did we do well on the third one. So we're gonna have some fun. It's very simple. We're gonna make our country great. We're gonna make our country great again. We're gonna make America great again. How good a name is MAGA, though, right? You know? I was going to say, keep America great, but unfortunately it wasn't great. Can't say keep it great. It will be great again, but CAG, keep America great, CAG, I don't think it's ever gonna replace MAGA. Does anybody like CAG? I don't think so. It's never replacing MAGA. Nothing will ever replace MAGA. MAGA was
that's
the
your own
most
thing.
Successful political operation, political movement in the history of our country, maybe in the history of the world. Let's see what happens, because we're not finished yet. We're not finished yet. We have a long way to
it's
go.
not so good, CAG.
But we're doing this on the very first day in office, and in just a few moments, I'm not only signing the release of the J6 hostages, I'm signing other things that you're going to love. Oh, you're going to be happy reading newspapers tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day.
Yeah, he's keeping the Israeli family hostages hostage again, you know?
It's full to
Hostage
the
on
rafters.
stage.
You don't have any. Look at those people up there.
He's holding them hostage, too.
You don't have any empty seats. And by the way, the Capital One owners, they are so good.
While talking about the real hostages, January 6th.
To us. And I just want to thank Ted and everybody. You guys have been fantastic. And the ice hockey team's doing great. Ovechkin's pretty good, right? They're doing great. So I want to thank them, Capital One arena owners. They have been absolutely fantastic. And thank you once again to everyone. And I can only tell you, you're going to be very happy. You're going to watch a lot of good things happen. We got to stop some wars that are happening and going on. Some stupid things are happening. The war with Ukraine would have never happened, and it has. As you know, Israel would have never been hit on October 7th. And
Oh, no, he's turning to them. Uh-oh.
None of you would even know anything about this tragedy that you're going through right now. But Iran was broke. Anybody that bought oil from Iran, they couldn't do any business with us. You're not going to do business with America. China passed, everybody passed, they were broke. They didn't have money for Hamas, they didn't have money for Hezbollah. And your sons would be alive, and they certainly wouldn't be incarcerated like they are. It's a shame, but we're getting a lot of people out in a short period of time. So I'm going to go right over to here, and I'm going to sign in front of you. Is that okay? Good.
President Trump, after giving his inaugural address earlier today inside the Capitol Rotunda, now at Capital One Arena, shaking hands with families of the hostages. Many of those families have given Donald Trump in recent days, saying they do not think that this ceasefire, this deal, would have gotten across the finish line had it not been for Donald Trump.
I don't think that lady likes
of course, his
him.
Middle East envoy, teaming up with
What
the
was
Biden
that?
administration in those final days. They have said that they believe it was the addition of Donald Trump and his team that made this happen. Donald Trump saying he will head over to that table with a number of executive actions already laid out on the table in the presidential seal. Mary, Bruce, do we have an understanding of exactly what it is he's signing right here?
We don't have a full list right now, but we do know that this is going to be a tremendous effort for him to show straight out the gate just how aggressive he is being, as he has been touting all day. We know that he is signing a wide range of executive orders, ranging from rescinding any DEI or gender-related directives from the Biden administration to designating cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
Hey, Mary, let's listen.
Signing is the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
Wait, you can do that with one signature? That's crazy. Bold, radical.
Thank you, sir.
With the stroke of the pen, Donald Trump there, President Trump now trying effectively to undo as much as he can
The
of
second
Joe
item,
Biden's
President
agenda
Trump,
there. Let's
is
listen
a
in a bit
regulatory
to what he's
freeze,
doing
as you
next.
announced in your speech, preventing bureaucrats from issuing any more regulations until we have full control of this, the government and this administration. Thank you, sir.
Sir, can I have a pen?
The next item, sir, is a freeze on all federal hiring, excepting the military and a number of other excluded categories, again, until full control of the government is achieved and we understand the objectives of government going forward.
Could you imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Sir, the next item, as you announced in your speech, is a requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately.
Why are they clapping for that? Like, what does that do? No, honestly, like, not even like good or bad. I'm not making a value judgment here. But why would that be something worthy of clapping? Like, what does that do for any of the people in the room? Yeah, finally, my has to go back to work and work from the office. Like, what, is that it?
The cost of living crisis that has cost Americans so dearly.
Also, what? This executive order is so stupid. He's going to address it. He's going to address the living crisis, cost of living crisis. Oh, hell yeah.
Thank you, sir. The next item here is the withdrawal from the Paris Climate Treaty.
Another thing where it's like, why are you clapping for that? Good or bad? And this one is objectively like ridiculous, but clapping for that is so stupid.
We're going to
Easy
save
not to
over
worry
$1
about the living
trillion
crisis when you're a
while
millionaire? Are you
withdrawing
talking about
from that
me? Are you stupid? Do you think signing an executive order saying that you're going to address the cost of living crisis is actually going to address the cost of living crisis? Because I'm not talking about the validity of the cost of living crisis. That much is, apparent. I'm saying he's not taking an initiative on it at all. He's just signing a piece of paper. If you think that in and of itself is enough, like it's over, we've solved it, you're a dumbass and probably voted for Donald Trump.
Ordering the restoration of freedom of speech and preventing government censorship of free speech going forward. And lastly, sir, before we go back to the Oval Office to sign a large number of other items, is a directive to the federal government ending the weaponization of government against the political adversaries of the previous administration, as we've seen. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
He's doing it. The Mag Lad, he's doing it. Oh my God. Dude, we've actually we are so devolved, dude. We have devolved as a society completely. This is peasant status. This is straightforward peasant. God damn, dude. This is crazy. Anyway, he's signing new executive orders into action. Let's executive actions.
We have about 6 commutations in there where we're doing further research. Nice to see you again. So this is a big one. Anything you want to explain about this? We hope they get him. We hope they come out tonight, frankly.
He got Enrico Tarrio out of prison
They're
too.
expecting it. Approximately 1,500 people.
He says, stand back, stand by.
Commutations.
Were there any cases you did not see or part of people?
We're looking at different things, but the commutations would be the ones that we'll take a look, and maybe it'll stay that way, or it'll go to, full pardon.
And the order does require the Bureau of Prisons to act immediately on receipt of the pardons and commutation orders. Sir, this is an
Why don't we get that down so they can get them going right now?
Yes, sir.
Is that okay?
Yep, absolutely. This is a proclamation guaranteeing the state's protection against invasion based on the current crisis at the southern border. It invokes various executive powers relating to the ongoing invasion at the southern border.
Mr. President, what makes you confident that those are not going to be blocked by the courts?
I don't think they will. I don't think they can be. They're very straight up. Why don't you take that and go over here? Could you get him over here, not on the side angle? Do you mind? Just go right over here with your friends. Okay?
Sir, this is an executive order realigning the United States refugee admission program to better align with American principles and American interests.
Okay?
Thank you, sir. This next executive order is about protecting America from foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats. Again, crisis at the border, but it goes beyond that and it implicates other executive powers as well.
Okay?
President Trump, if cartels are now going to be seen as foreign terror organizations, would you think about ordering U.S. Special Forces into Mexico to take them out?
Could happen. Stranger things have happened.
That would be an act of war, by the way. That would be military deployment on foreign soil.
Accept Venezuela.
Well, we're going to see on Venezuela. We're looking at Venezuela very strongly. It's a country I know very well.
He said he wants to do Syria to Venezuela.
It was a great country 20 years ago, and now it's a mess, right?
Sir, can we expect ICE raids starting tomorrow in major cities?
What does that mean?
Can we expect ICE raids in major cities?
I don't want to say when, but it's going to happen. Has to happen, or we're not going to have a country left.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years. So they are now designated as terrorist organizations, foreign. And Mexico probably doesn't want that. But we have to do what's right. They're killing our people. They're killing 250, 300,000 American people a year. Not 100, like has been reported for 15 years. It's probably 300,000.
This is an executive.
Listen, Mexico doesn't want that. How are you going to deal with this?
I don't know. You'll have to ask them.
Sir, this is an executive order entitled Protecting the American People Against Invasion, which again deals with the southern border and the unprecedented admission of illegal aliens across the southern border.
What do you see the biggest national security threat to the U.S., Mr. President? What's going to be your priority on foreign policy?
Say?
What's going to be your priority on foreign policy? What do you see as the biggest
Well,
national
foreign
security
policy is a
threat?
big statement. I mean, my priority on foreign policy, it's going to be to keep America safe. Very simple. It's a big question, though. That's a very big question.
Who is going to be the first foreign leader that you plan to meet, or who are you going to call tomorrow on your first day in
I've
office?
already been meeting people. I've been meeting them. I've been talking to them. I met with Prime Minister Trudeau, who I call Governor Trudeau. I met with numerous foreign leaders. Go ahead.
Sir,
what might be your first step?
this next order relates to the definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States.
Good. That's a good one. Birthright. That's a big one.
What about that one in the course? That one is likely to be passed.
Could be. We think we have good grounds, but you could be right. I mean, you'll find out. It's ridiculous. We're the only country in the world that does this with birthright, as you know. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, we'll see. We have very good grounds.
Sir,
People have wanted to do this for decades.
Sir, this is a proclamation declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States.
That's a big one. A lot of big ones, huh? You know what that means, right?
President Trump, did President Biden leave you a letter?
He may have. What? Don't they leave it in the desk? I don't know. Oh,
What's in there?
thank you, Peter. It could have been years before we found it. Wow. Thank you.
Can you read that on the outside?
Maybe we should all read it together.
Let's read it.
Well, maybe I'll read it first and then make that
That sounds
determination.
great.
Peter, thank you very much. I may not have seen this for months.
Happy to help with the passing of the torch.
I did. I left him one in the desk just like this.
What are you talking about with him?
Unification of our country. You know, I didn't know that he gave a pardon to his family because he did it during my speech.
He didn't tell you in the limo?
No, he didn't tell me. No. He did it. They released it during my speech. I mean, during my speech. So all I could do was say, excuse me, I'd like to come back and speak some more. So, no, we were surprised by that. It's
President,
bad precedent, obviously.
where are you thinking on tariffs on Mexico, given these actions you're signing on the border?
Well, we're thinking in terms of 25% on Mexico and Canada because they're allowing vast numbers of people. Canada's a very bad abuser also. Vast numbers of people to come in and fentanyl to come in.
When do you think you would enact those?
I think February 1st.
Are you planning on giving notice of that?
I think we'll do it February 1st.
25% on both, sir.
Sir,
On each.
On each, yes.
this is an executive order taking a large number of executive actions to secure our southern border.
Okay? Sounds reasonable.
President Trump, we remember 4 years ago, Barack Obama had told you that the top threat to the country was going to be North Korea. Did Joe Biden tell you what he thinks the top threat to the country is right now?
No. I think we have a lot of them. Right now, I think we have a lot.
Top. Obama said North Korea was a top threat.
I'm friendly with him. He liked me. I liked him. We got along very well. They thought that was a tremendous threat. Now, he is a nuclear power, but we got along. I think he'll be happy to see him coming back.
And
I think he has tremendous condo capability. He's got a lot of shoreline.
Thank you, sir.
Are you going to work with countries from South America to coordinate on immigration?
About who?
About immigration in general?
This is an executive order. Sorry, sir.
I'm fine with legal immigration. I like it. We need people, and I'm absolutely fine with it. We want to have it. We need it because we're going to have a lot of companies coming in to avoid tariffs. You know, if you don't want tariffs, all you have to do is build your plant in the U.S. So we're going to have a lot of workers coming in, but we have to have legal immigration.
Do you have a date in mind for when you want to put on the China tariffs that you're talking
Which
about?
one?
60%?
No. You're talking about which? Say it again.
The China tariffs, the broad
China?
tariffs?
Well, as you know, I put on large tariffs on China, and they've really been forced to leave them. And if we didn't leave them, you wouldn't have one steel mill that's open in this country because they were dumping massive amounts of steel. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars from China because they were unable to terminate the tariffs I put on China because it was too much money and the budgets didn't work and other reasons too. No, I mean, we're going to have meetings and calls with President Xi. I spoke to President Xi last week, as you know. Did you know that? I had a very good phone call.
Did you please start with NATO at this moment? Are you planning to meet your NATO allies?
No, NATO has to pay more money. NATO has to pay 5%. We're in the Ukraine war by $200 billion more than NATO. It's ridiculous because it affects them a lot more. We have an ocean in between. And we've spent $200 billion more on Ukraine than NATO has spent. And they've got to equalize.
Did you talk to Xi about the Ukraine war?
Yeah.
Because China and Brazil together has a proposal to bring Russia and Ukraine to talk.
That's good. That's fine. I'm ready.
When are you going
That's
to talk
good.
with the Brazilian
How
president?
did Brazil get involved?
Brazil's involved.
This is a new one.
When are you going to talk to Lula?
Are you from Brazil?
From Brazil. When are you talking?
That's why they're involved, I guess.
When are you going to talk with the Brazilian president? How do you see your relationship with Latin America and Brazil?
Great. Should be great. They need us much more than we need them. We don't need them. They need us. Everybody needs us.
Mr. President, it sounds like you will not proceed with additional China tariffs necessarily, depending on how talks go with President Xi. Is that correct?
What does that define that?
Well, we are asking, you pledged in the campaign potentially a 10% tariff on China or as much as...
Because of fentanyl.
Right. So I'm asking where you're...
That's only because of fentanyl. There are other things too.
Are additional...
And a very big thing is the Panama Canal. China controls the Panama Canal. What's that all about? They're not supposed to be good. When Jimmy Carter gave it, which was a terrible mistake, he didn't do it. He didn't give it to China. He gave it to Panama. And China controls the Panama Canal.
So are China tariffs...
And we're not going to allow that to happen.
Are they still on the table or is that...
We're not going to allow that to happen.
Thank you, sir.
What can we expect of the countries in NATO that spend the least amount of money, like Spain, France, below the 5%?
Spain is very low. And yet, are they a BRICS nation?
What?
They're a BRICS nation, Spain. You know what a BRICS nation is? You'll figure it out. But And
What?
if the BRICS nations want to do that, that's okay.
Wait,
but
what?
we're going to put at least a 100% tariff on the business they do with the United States.
Does he think the S?
You guys know.
Brazil,
You know what I'm
Russia.
saying, right? You know
Does he
what
think
I'm
the
saying.
S is for Spain?
This is
So it's not even a threat. In fact, since I made that statement, Biden said, well, they have us over a barrel. I said, no, we have them over a barrel. And there's no way they're going to be able to do that.
It's so funny that BRICS was an acronym created by Americans initially, and he still got it wrong.
They'll have a 100% tariff if they so much as even think about doing what they thought.
Can you explain how is
Which, and therefore they'll give it up immediately. So will China give it up.
So this is about reforming the system of hiring in the federal government to ensure that merit is the lodestar of hiring decisions
As per the Supreme Court.
other matters. Yes, sir.
This is a big deal. Merit. Our country is going to be based on merit again. Can you believe it?
Mr. President, you said you would end the Russia-Ukraine war on your first day in office. Where do things stand right now, and how do you intend?
Well, this is only half a day. I have another half a day left. We'll see. We want to get it done.
This is an order creating and implementing the Department of Governmental Efficiency, known as DOGE.
Okay, that's a big one.
Is Elon Musk going to get a West Wing office?
No, he's getting an office for about 20 people that we're hiring to make sure that these get implemented. We have a problem in this country. You sign an executive order, it doesn't get done for 6 months. As an example, when we allow the J6 hostages to go out, it might not be approved under the old days for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months. You know, they had a good ruling from the Supreme Court, and it's like nothing happened. That ruling was 6 months ago, you know that. And it was like they didn't have a ruling. They've been treated very unfair. The judges have been absolutely brutal. The prosecutors have been brutal. Nobody's ever treated people in this country like that.
Mr. President, are you commuting the sentences of anyone who assaulted a police officer on January 6th?
Well, we're looking at 2 police officers, actually, that Washington police officers who went after an illegal, and things happened, and they ended up putting them in jail. They got 5-year jail sentences. You know the case. And we're looking at that in order to give them we got to give them a break.
But is there clemency in your actions today for anyone?
Well, it would be a
who
pardon.
assaulted
That would be a pardon. The one I'm talking about would be a pardon.
Here you go, sir. This is
Should there be punishment for the people who assaulted law enforcement officers that day?
Well, I will say this. They've been in jail for a long time already. I see murderers in this country get 2 years, 1 year, and maybe no time. So they've already been in jail for a long time. These people have been destroyed. What they've done to these people is outrageous. There's rarely been anything like it in history, in the history of our country. And even people that were aggressive, and in many cases, I believe they happen to be outside agitators, but, you know, what do I know, right? But I think they were outside agitators. There were outside agitators involved. And obviously the FBI was involved because Ray admitted the FBI was involved. Didn't he say 23 people indirectly or directly were involved, and it was then 26? That's a lot of people. Now we got to take care of these people have been treated so badly. It's never happened before. What happened in Seattle where they took over a big portion of the city? What happened in Portland where they burn down the city every day and people die? Nothing happened to anybody. But they go after these people violently. I mean, they're still going after brand new people. They found somebody else with a picture. There's never been anything like this. And you know, it's almost 100%. Think of this. Almost 100% of the people are convicted. 100%. It's Washington, D.C. People go into a trial and they say, oh, I have a wonderful lawyer and I didn't do anything wrong. And they end up in shackles almost immediately and jail. No, we're not going to let it happen.
About Greenland, we have some interest in buying it, but is there any other option that would satisfy you?
About what?
Greenland, instead of buying it.
Finland?
Greenland.
Oh, Greenland. Greenland is a wonderful place. We need it for international security. And I'm sure that Denmark will come along. I think it's costing them a lot of money to maintain it, to keep it. The people of Greenland are not happy with Denmark, as you know. I think they're happy with us. We had representatives, my son and representatives went up there 2 weeks ago, and they like us. So we'll see what happens. But Greenland is necessary, not for us, it's necessary for international security. You have Russian boats all over the place. You have China boats all over the place, warships. And they can't maintain it.
When are you going to be talking to Vladimir Putin?
Who?
Do you plan to meet President Putin, sir?
I'll be meeting with President Putin.
When do you plan?
I don't know. I can't. It's being set up.
Your first trip foreign that might be, sir?
So first foreign trip typically has been with UK. But I did it with Saudi Arabia last time because they agreed to buy $450 billion worth of our product. I said, I'll do it, but you have to buy American product, and they agreed to do that. They bought $450 billion. It was the least reported story I've ever been involved
And
in.
now, where are you planning to go now?
Well, I don't know. If Saudi Arabia wanted to buy another 450 or 500, we'll up it for all the inflation.
Mr. President, you say you were going
think
to
I
end
probably
the
Oh my
war
God.
first day. How do you plan to end
Bro,
Ukraine?
he's gonna give Saudi Arabia nukes. I'm telling you, he's just like, oh, nuclear arms. It's very expensive. Saudi Arabia needs it. Are you gonna give them the nukes? Do you have 500 billion? They'll get it from Russia.
In Saudi Arabia to normalize relations.
I don't think I have to push it. I think it's going to happen, but maybe not quite yet. But they'll end up being in the Accords, the Abraham Accords.
President Trump,
I think Saudi Arabia will end up being in the Abraham Accords.
This year?
Could be, but soon. Not in a very long way. Oh, look at that! It says TikTok. My! What is that all about?
First, we have Alaska, sir. This is an executive order relating to unleashing Alaska's potential as an energy reservoir for the entire nation.
And what about Anwar?
I believe that would be included in aspects of the
So
order.
we're opening up Anwar.
on the TikTok piece, President Trump, you and your members of your team now used to warn about the dangers of TikTok spying on Americans. What changed that you're not worried about that anymore?
Well, it depends on the deal. I mean, I may not do the deal or I may do the deal. TikTok is worthless if I don't approve it. It has to close. I learned that from the people that own it. If I don't do the deal, it's worthless, worth nothing. If I do the deal, it's worth maybe $1 trillion, $1 trillion. So if I do the deal I'm talking about doing it for the United States. If I do the deal for the United States, then I think we should get half.
The TikTok CEO.
In other words, I think the U.S. should be entitled to get half of TikTok. And congratulations, TikTok has a good partner. And that would be worth, could be $500 billion or something. It's crazy. The numbers are crazy. But it's worthless if the president doesn't sign, then it's worthless. If the president does sign, it's worth maybe $1 trillion. So I think, like a joint venture, I think we would have a joint venture with the people from TikTok. We'll see what happens. I mean, that's one of many ideas I've
The
had.
CEO is now. Did he say that he's open to that idea?
Who?
The CEO of TikTok is around.
Oh, I think he'd probably like it. Because he's got nothing. They really have nothing. It's passed in Congress. It gives the president a right to make a deal or to close it. And we have 90 days to make that decision. But I could see making a deal where the U.S. gets 50% of TikTok, polices it a little bit or a lot, depends on them. But remember, they make telephones in China. They make all sorts of things in China. Nobody ever complains about that. Here they're complaining about this. There's so many different products made in China, and nobody ever complained about it. The only one they complain about is TikTok. And TikTok is largely young people. I guess I have a warm spot for TikTok that I didn't have originally. But, I went on TikTok, and I won young people up by 36%, Peter.
He loves that. That is the main.
Republicans typically don't do too well
I
with
swear
young
to God,
people.
that's the only
But it's a
reason why
different
he wants to
Republican
defend
Party.
TikTok. He's like, yeah, TikTok was great for me with the youth vote. I'm keeping it. If Huawei phones somehow were responsible for him winning the election, he would have saved that too.
Essentially would be paid for doing that half of the value of TikTok.
Would there be a private sector owner as
Could
well in
be,
the
yeah,
US?
could be a lot. Tell you what, every rich person has called me about TikTok
You wanted to block TikTok. Why did you change your mind?
because I got to use it. And remember, TikTok is largely about kids, young kids. If China's going to get information about young kids, I don't know.
Are you
To be honest with you, I think we have bigger problems than that. But you know, when you take a look at telephones that are made in China and all the other things that are made in China, military equipment made in China, TikTok, I think TikTok is not their biggest problem. But there's big value in TikTok if it gets approved. If it doesn't get approved, there's no value. So if we create that value, why aren't we entitled to like half?
Sir, if they don't take it 90 days, will you shut them down?
Does Biden ever do news conferences like this? How many news conferences?
He's not
Peter, has he
president
done like
anymore.
this?
He's dead, bro.
None.
Who cares about Biden? He's still talking about Biden.
And it would be zero for the next infinity. For infinity, it would be zero.
Mr. President, when you plan to talk to President Musk going to help implement the executive orders? I think you mentioned implementation.
Yes, it was technically his FBI that did January 6th.
He was very busy sending rockets.
But he
with lots of
always
satellites
considers
on
the
it.
FBI before January 6th and after January 6th, especially as a hostile entity. By the way, it was quote unquote his FBI that did January 6th with his like head that he had appointed to the FBI after firing the previous one. So it's like it was fully his FBI.
I think he's going to get a lot of votes. I think he's going to be at 90% or something. I mean,
You said
I'm hearing
President
very
Musk?
good- People know him. They know him in the
Sorry.
Senate. They know he's good. He's doing a good job. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know what's going to happen with that. He's got some very strong ideas, though, Marco.
You signed the
Did you sign it,
order, right?
President?
Did you sign the TikTok order?
Yeah,
Yes, that was just signed.
President Marco Rubio's ideas is
just signed it.
How many did
still
you sign?
changing
Are you going to
Venezuela,
sign?
changing power. Are you still committed with Maduro leaving power in Venezuela?
Well, we're going to find out about that, too, because we're going to probably stop buying oil from Venezuela. We don't need their oil.
Another
Yeah,
Yes, that was just signed.
President Marco Rubio's ideas is
just signed it.
How many did
still
you sign?
changing
Are you going to
Venezuela,
sign?
changing power. Are you still committed with Maduro leaving power in
Well,
Venezuela?
we're going to
you
find
a
out
dictator?
about that, too, because we're going to probably stop buying oil from Venezuela. We don't need their oil.
Another embargo like the first term?
Well, it could be, but we don't want to buy, we don't have to buy their oil. We have plenty of oil for ourselves, so
President Trump,
that'll change Venezuela quite a bit.
President Trump, there was a lot of concern about this during the campaign. A question that only works today. Are you a dictator on day one?
No, no. I can't imagine even being called that. No, I believe in the sanctity of the vote. The Democrats didn't because they cheated like dogs, but I believe in the sanctity, and this was too big to rig. This last election was just too big to rig.
Mr. President,
no.
we believe in climate
Finally,
The opposite.
an election that he won, so it wasn't. There was no
Could be
cheating.
very soon.
And you talked a bit about Ukraine and Russia, but how long do you think it would take to end that conflict? And
I have to speak to President Putin. We're going to have to find out. He can't be thrilled. He's not doing so well. I mean, he's grinding it out, but most people thought that war would have been over in about 1 week.
I
And now
told you
you're
he was
into
going to do
3
that.
years, right? So he can't be thrilled. It's not making him look very good. Now, eventually, you know, I mean, it's a big machine, so things will happen. But I think he'd be very well off to.
Oh
end
my
that
God.
war.
Tariffs are
We
coming
have
in on them.
Numbers of
Oh,
almost a
February
million Russian
1st.
soldiers have been killed. About 700,000 Ukrainian soldiers are killed. Russia's bigger. They have more soldiers to lose. But that's no way to run a country.
What did your TikTok order do, Mr. President?
It just gave me the right to sell it or close it. Essentially, with TikTok, I have the right to either sell it or close it. And we'll make that determination. And we may have to get an approval from China, too. I'm not sure. But I'm sure they'll approve it. And if they don't approve it, it would be somewhat of a hostile act, I think. But it's good for China if it gets approved.
Mr. President, so you're not guaranteeing that TikTok will be around after 90 days from today?
No, but it could very well be. It makes sense for it to be, because it's got tremendous value. But if we create the value by approving, you know, in other words, that approval gives it tremendous value. If that's the case, then we should be entitled to 50% as a country. You understand? You haven't heard that one before, right? That's called a joint venture. And nobody ever thought that way
Who will be your
before.
partner?
Well, I don't know. I think you have a lot of people that would be interested in TikTok with the United States as a partner.
Mr. President, what was it like walking into the Oval Office this evening?
Oh, what a great feeling. One of the better feelings I've ever had.
Do you like this town better now than in 2017?
Well, we're very experienced now. You would say nobody's ever had experience like I have. I've dealt with some very good people. I've dealt with some very bad people, and I know who the bad ones are and the good ones are. You know, don't forget, I was very successful in primarily the real estate business. And people used to say, who's worse, a politician or a vicious real estate developer? And I'd always say, you know, the real estate developer is far worse. But after about 3 months and getting to know scum like Adam Schiff and other people like that, I said, no, actually, real estate people are quite nice by comparison.
You said you plan to speak with President Putin soon. What about President Zelensky, and what's your message?
Yeah, I would, but he's told me he wants to make a deal. I mean, Zelensky wants to make a deal. I don't know if Putin does. He might not. I don't know. He should make a deal. I think he's destroying Russia by not making a deal. I think Russia's going to be in big trouble. You take a look at their economy, you take a look at the inflation in Russia. So I would hope, I got along with him great, and, you know, I would hope he wants to make a deal.
Mr. President, are you keeping U.S. sanctions on Russia until he makes a deal?
Well, sanctions or tariffs. I think the word tariff is much better because it keeps your dollar stronger. I think tariffs are more effective. I mean, I use sanctions on Iran. Iran was broke. When I left office, Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, none. They were flat broke. And October 7th would have never happened. And I think you all know that. It would have never happened. They had no money. Now they're rich, but, you know, they're weakened in a different way. I would say that the one attack by Israel really set them back. It really set them back. The Pagers and others. You know, the attack on air defense was a bad attack for Iran.
What are you signing now, sir?
It's an executive order relating to reforms to the federal workforce, including to the senior executive service.
We're getting rid of all of the cancer. I call it cancer. The cancer caused by the Biden administration.
Sir.
How confident are you, Mr. President, that you can keep the ceasefire in Gaza and conclude the 3 phases of this deal?
I'm not confident. That's not our war, it's their war, but
Apologize.
I'm not confident. But I think they're very weakened on the other side.
Do you support the 2-state solution?
Gaza, boy, I looked at a picture of Gaza. Gaza is like a massive demolition site. That place it's really got to be rebuilt in a different way.
Do you plan to help rebuilding Gaza?
I might. You know, Gaza is interesting. It's a phenomenal location. On the sea, best weather. You know, everything's good. It's like some beautiful things could be done with it, but it's very interesting.
I'm
But
sorry, what?
Some fantastic things could be done with Gaza.
How do you see the future in governance for Gaza?
Well, it depends. I can't imagine you could have, well, you certainly can't have the people that were there. Most of them are dead, by the way, right? Most of them are dead. But they didn't exactly run it well. Run viciously and badly. So you can't have that.
Mr. President, on TikTok, sir, would you pause any decision on Chinese tariffs until you know what the resolution on TikTok will be? Are those things
No,
connected at
if
all?
China didn't approve it, we could put tariffs on China. Don't forget, China charges us tariffs, and we charge them very little, except for what I did. I put a lot of, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars. But until I came along, China never paid 10 cents to this country. They ripped us off, and they never paid anything. But, like, if we wanted to make a deal with TikTok, and it was a good deal, and China wouldn't approve it, then I think ultimately they'd approve it because we'd put tariffs on China. Maybe. I'm not saying I would, but you certainly could do that. And if we said, well, if you're not going to approve it, then that's a certain hostility, and we'll put tariffs of 25, 30, 40, 50%, even 100%. And if we did that, I think they'd approve it.
President Trump, you've seen the other living presidents a couple times in the last few months. If you ever had to call on one of them for advice about anything that's going on here, which one would you call?
It's an interesting. Well, I thought Bill Clinton was a very good
This is
politician.
truly
I don't think
heinous
he was
stuff.
used properly. I think they disrespected
We are so
him.
America's so.
He
The
was
rest of the
running.
planet is.
He came back
The
and he
entire
said,
globe
you know,
is.
get up to
It hasn't even been
Michigan
12
and
hours yet. It's barely been 12 hours in office, and he's already said mass immigration raids, Gaza beachfront property, tariffs to Mexico and Canada instantly February 1st. Like, how is the stock market not reacting to this in the normal ways that you would?
We won Wisconsin and Michigan and every other swing state. We won all the swing states, all 7. They talked about 7 swing states. We won them all.
Oh, it's because MLK Day, stock market's closed today. I forgot. I forgot that it's
political sense, I think.
I forgot.
You were having a good conversation with President Obama at President
I
Carter's
was.
funeral.
And you'd like to know what it was? Oh. Everybody wants to know. I know, I wouldn't want to, but we were having some crazy conversations. Why do you asking a question like that? You don't. I don't think you want to know. You might not.
Tell us what you just signed.
You might be insulted.
It's an executive order relating to holding former
It's also like 8 p.m.,
government
bro.
officials accountable for unlawful disclosure of sensitive information. This next one, sir, is a declaration of a national energy emergency.
So you also
That's a big one. You know what that allows you to do? That means
I think
you can do whatever.
I
you
think
have
we're
to do to
entering
get-
very weird territory. In the absence of organized resistance against this sort of action from the obviously reactionary government, I feel like the resistance to this sort of the resistance to Donald Trump is going to take the form of decentralized resistance, which is always uncontrollable. Okay? In the least violent ways of decentralized resistance movements, when there are no legal structures in play, like workplace assault and violence, was the Me Too movement. The most violent version of decentralized resistance against unlimited amounts of profit seeking that puts people's lives at stake is Luigi Mangione. Take your pick. It's going to probably see itself in the form of both of these different movements. On the one hand, there will be, I suspect that there will be some semblance of organized efforts to try and actively apply social pressure in the face of unchanging and unyielding cruelty by our legislative body, by our judicial body. And also, on the other hand, I suspect that there will be direct instances of violence from adventurists as well.
No security. Because they had everything shut down to drones. You know, you can shut that down pretty easily if you're sophisticated. They're very sophisticated, these people. No, it was just cold weather. And we made a good move because, first of all, I thought it was incredible in the Capitol today. You know why I liked it? Because I got great reviews on that speech. I got great reviews. Can you believe it? They actually were fair.
This is
Maybe the fake news is changing.
unleashing energy production.
Yeah, unleashing energy production. But I thought it was, I think having it in the Capitol is great. It's obviously, you can take care of the people you have to take care of. The city was booming. And if we would have done it outside, people would have been hurt because it was really cold. You know, it was like, looked sunny. But when you stood outside for 10 minutes, people were running back in. It was really cold and really windy. The wind brings it down a lot. So we made the right decision. You couldn't have stayed. I don't think you could have had it out. You know how cold it was today. It was, people went out for a little while just to test it. They couldn't stay out more than 10 minutes. They all came back in. So we would have had a disaster if we did that, and people would have been hurt.
The unlawful disclosure, EO, is that related to the Hunter Biden situation?
Which one?
The one on unlawful disclosures by federal officials, is that related to
No,
that?
I think it's just more general than that. It's not Hunter Biden. I was surprised that President Biden would go and pardon his whole family because that makes him look very guilty. You know, I could have pardoned my family. I could have pardoned myself, my family. I said, if I do that, it's going to make me look very guilty. I don't think I'd be sitting here, frankly. If I did that, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now because I would have shown that you're guilty. But by pardoning his brother or brothers, by pardoning all of those people that he pardoned, by pardoning J6, the Unselect Committee, they destroyed all of the documents. They deleted all of the information. There's no information. And a lot of the information pertains to Nancy Pelosi because she was given 100, I mean, you know this, it's on tape with her daughter. Nancy Pelosi was responsible for not taking advantage of 10,000 soldiers or 1,000. You wouldn't have you could have used 400. It was a relatively small crowd. It wasn't the crowd that was at the mall. It was a small crowd. So I was a little bit surprised that he did it because it makes him look guilty. I mean, he's going to have to live with it. Now, with that being said, it's unbelievable precedent it creates.
Details
for
of
a
the January 6th
president.
pardons, commuting the sentence of the head of the Oath Keepers, and one of the first people to breach the Capitol who was charged with assaulting a police officer, Dominic Pizzola. He also got Enrique Tarrio out of prison. Enrique Tarrio had a 22-year sentence.
Who's a total lunatic, by the way. Not a smart guy either, he's a dummy. But we beat the hell out of him. And I helped my reputation.
Do you think you'd have to do the same thing at the end of this term?
Well, I guess now I have precedent to do it. I don't.
Like, I personally think that there is validity for reducing the sentences of some of the people. But having said that, you know, there are active people who did harm, not just the property, but to like police officers and numerous other people who like actively did try to do,
they have nothing,
albeit unsuccessful,
they rigged
sedition,
it was a rigged deal.
an insurrection, and it makes sense why you would. It makes sense why you would keep some of these guys in prison.
Liz Cheney, which is a lunatic, and she lost by the greatest margin in the history of a politician running for Congress, like 40 points. The reason it was the greatest is because anybody losing that badly is going to drop out. But she's a nut job. She doesn't drop out. You know, she just keeps chugging forward. And she lost by almost 40 points. That's the biggest number anybody's ever lost by. But why would Biden do that? He pardoned her and pardoned everybody. The reason is that they destroyed documents. And if you're even in a civil case, which this wouldn't be, I mean, people go to jail for a long time for doing that. What's this one?
That's Unleashing American Energy, sir. It relates to easing permitting processes and other regulatory systems to ensure that we can produce energy efficiently to drive the American economy forward.
President Trump, looking around the office, we noticed some changes from the way the Biden had it set up. Can you confirm that you have added back the Diet Coke blood?
I think this, first of all, I just got here. So my people came in. They have extraordinary decorator sense, right? Let me just see some of the pictures. That's a good one. I could live with him. I could live with George Washington, I can tell you. I could live with Thomas Jefferson. I could live with most of them. They took a very safe route. They don't have any bad ones up there.
Withdrawing from
What is this one?
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir.
Ooh, that's a big one. So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China, with 1.4 billion people, we have 350 to pay. We have, nobody knows what we have because so many people came in illegally, but let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million, we were paying 500 million. It seemed a little unfair to me. So that wasn't the reason, but I dropped out. They offered me to come back for 39 million. In theory, it should be less than that, but you know. And when Biden came back, they came back for 500 million. He knew that you could have come back for 39 million.
Bro, you're talking about, you're acting like this is cutting a deal. Like this is global health, dude. What the hell?
China pays 39 million and we pay 500 million. And China's a bigger country.
Mr. President, you spoke about inflation today in your remarks. What actions are you taking today that will have a direct
Already the deal,
impact on
baby.
Americans on their everyday
Billions
costs
must
to bring
die.
costs down?
The biggest thing and factor for inflation is energy. they screwed up my energy policy, and then they went back to it. You know, they heard it really badly, and then they went back to it, and they started drilling more, but by that time it was too late. Many of these things that we're signing and that Doug Burgum is going to be signing, and Chris Wright, who's phenomenal, you know, Energy Department
Alex
of Energy.
leaked your
We're going
tags.
to be taking a lot. We're going to make a lot of money from energy. We have more than anybody else. We're going to make a lot of money from energy. We're going to make a lot
What?
of
No,
money
this
from
is not
tariffs.
for me. What
You
are
know,
you talking
European
about?
Union charges us. They have a VAT tax of 20%, but it's really much higher than that. And that's the equivalent, almost the equivalent of a tariff. And they're tough. They're very tough. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take almost anything. And yet we take their cars and we take their farm product. We take a lot from them. So, you know, we have like a $300 billion deficit with the European Union. So we'll straighten that out with either tariffs or they have to buy our oil. The one thing they can do, our oil and gas, the one thing they can do to catch up quickly, buy our oil and gas.
Will you travel?
And they should do that.
Will you travel to China this year?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I've had the invite.
Mr.
President, she's
President,
invited
I would
you
do it.
to
Yeah,
come this
I
year.
would do it.
talking about the European Union and the tariffs, like, what do you mean when you say that European Union country like Spain is part of BRICS?
That are what?
BRICS. You said
Oh, BRICS. No, I was talking about BRICS. BRICS are 6 nations. I think it's 7 nations. And they were looking to do a number in the United States. And
They
if
added,
do
they added
that,
Spain.
they won't be happy about what's going to happen to them.
Are you still considering a universal tariff, Mr. President, on all countries?
I may, yeah, but we're not ready for that yet. We may put it, wrap it,
Mr. President.
because essentially all countries take advantage of the U.S. We don't make any good deals in the U.S. It's amazing in a way that we exist. We don't make good deals. We don't have any good deals. We have a deficit with almost, not all, there are a couple, I won't tell you their names because I don't want them to find out about it because they'll feel stupid. But there are a couple of countries that actually don't make money with us. But I don't want to let you know because they'll immediately change that. But we're gonna do. I tell you what, our country has an amazing economic future. I really believe that.
What kind of universal tariff if you did do one?
Well, you'd put a universal tariff on anybody doing business in the United States because they're coming in and they're stealing our wealth, they're stealing our jobs, they're stealing our companies, they're hurting our companies. So you put a tariff on to keep them from doing that.
Mr. President, you surrounded yourself with a whole bunch of billionaires today. President Biden, as in his farewell address, warned about an oligarchy. I was wondering if you could respond to that.
Well, he had a lot of guys, and then they found out that he didn't know what the hell he was talking about, and I think they deserted him. They deserted him, those same guys. Look, I don't make pretenses, smart guys, but there are a lot of smart people around, but they did desert him. They were all with him, every one of them. Now they're all with me, I don't know. It's not going to get anything from me, I don't need money. But I do want the nation to do well, and they're smart people, and they have, they create a lot of jobs. And if they don't do it, China's going to do it. You know, what they've done is they've taken industries and they've taken it away. They outsmarted China.
Elon replied to the ADL.
Sort of
what did
like
he
that.
say? He said, I did
They've
sig
done a
Heil.
great
What are you
job.
going to do
A lot of
about
them.
it?
Not all of them.
Protecting women from radical gender ideologies.
Ooh.
Mr. President, going back to the World
Course.
Health Organization, you were the president during COVID. Don't you see the importance of organization like that to coordinate a global response? in
Sure,
case-
I do, but not when you're being ripped off like we are by the World Health. World Health ripped us off. Everybody rips off the United States, and that's it. It's not going to happen anymore. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, guys, let's go.
One last one, sir. This is your Martin Luther
Thank you,
King Day
guys.
proclamation.
Thank you, President. Thank you, sir. Thank you, President.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Let's go. Thanks, President. Thank you, guys. Mark, this is Martin. Let's go, guys.
What are we doing on this stuff?